Welcome to Trsatski Castle, my favorite place in the world out of all the ones I've been to. And I've been places and seen things. Granted, I did my fair share of globe-trotting in my time, which is a different time compared to yours. You probably already know that I was born way back in 1777 in Ballinacore Island, which is relatively close to Dublin. And I suppose you know about Dublin, right? Because, as far as I've been told, you regularly celebrate St. Patrick's Day on March 17th. Enjoy our Irish traditional customs or symbolically, our beer. That's how it should be. Getting to know other cultures and people is always nice. That's what I did more than 200 years ago. Because of the successful career of my father, Michael Anton Nugent, who was also the governor of the city of Prague for a while, but far more due to my interest in the Habsburg Empire, to which Catholicism was important as it was to me, I decided to travel far away from my birthplace. In part, as I hear, although for other reasons, cooperation between Croatia and Ireland is still very active today. I am very pleased and enthusiastic about any form of Croatian-Irish cooperation. But I digress. Anyway, in those bygone days, I met an entrepreneur and patrician from Rijeka. Andrija Ljudevit Adamic was his name. Excellent bloke. After talking to him in 1824, I bought Trsatski Castle as my ideal future home. But not only to live there and make it a mausoleum for my family, but also to create a museum that, according to today's criteria, would be, if not the first, then among the first Croatian museums. In that exploit, I was particularly inspired by the life path of the Frankopan family. But my friend Mijat is also here. So, Mijat, why don't you tell these ladies and gentlemen a bit about what we are currently doing?
Well, I was just listing part of the items, and I finished the drawings for the two that arrived last week. And I also had a stone plaque made with the inscription Museum Nugent 1843, so the museum will now also be endowed with that important feature.
The plaque, which is now in the Archaeological Museum in Zagreb.
Great Scott! How on earth is that even possible?
That's actually good news, your lordship. It's safe there. The Zagreb Museum developed quite successfully. I kept an eye on it in my lifetime while posted to the National Museum in Zagreb.
Yes, until 1870. However, after that, faced with financial hardship, the heirs sold the estate, castles, and the collections assembled by Laval Nugent. Most of the preserved items are today in the Archaeological Museum and the Croatian History Museum in Zagreb, and in the Maritime and History Museum of the Croatian Littoral in Rijeka.
I'm distressed about my holdings being scattered, but what matters is that they're safe and that part of them remain here in Rijeka.
Approaches change over time.
Yes, indeed they do. Although, I must say, your lordship, you did not care nor did you ask your contractor, a native of Italy, to reconstruct your town so as to try to restore what had once existed there. For that, there were no grounds nor purpose. You and your contractor decided to create a fantastic burg to make it your tomb and your legacy, quite in the spirit of 19th century romanticism. Your architect didn't know the first thing about our towns. But, for what it's worth, at least he didn't destroy anything. He didn't add any alien elements to the structure, but instead he created a new work of art, a real masterpiece. Though, no doubt, he's the one who placed those cornices all over the place, mostly in Italian forms. In principle, I am against restoration and removal of ruined structures. When all is said and done, you did a good job. The only thing I dislike is your romantic need to decorate the perimeter walls with cornices. Plus, in my opinion, a museum has no place in the castle.
Every time has its own rules and challenges. It has always been, and it will always be like that. And what's become of the castle today?
Just as the museum gradually fell into despair, a similar fate befell the castle. However, in the 1960s, it was revitalized in line with the idea that cultural assets can only be preserved if given a research-based, high-quality new purpose. The castle was supposed to become a cultural and recreational center with a permanent museum exhibition, galleries, a summer stage, a restaurant, and a cafe. In the last few years, research have been carried out again and significant investments have been made in the restoration of the castle and additional contents being developed. There is an interpretation center on the roots of the Frankopans. Summer and Advent festivals in Gradina are exceptional, although it is interesting to visit the castle at any time of the year. And new content is being developed.
Well, it's not that different from the idea I used to entertain. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but there are similarities.
You are right, my lordship, especially since had it not been for your interest and extraordinary investment, it is quite possible that Trsat Castle would not exist today. Finding an adequate purpose, particularly one that is a source of pride and satisfaction for the local community, without thereby violating the integrity of the heritage that belongs to everyone. That is the approach applied here, in accordance with the standards of the 21st century.
Excellent. It makes me very happy. Dear visitors, you've heard it all. Enjoy the castle, explore it in more detail. We'd be delighted